Hi, how are you?
Hi, Aditi. Nice to talk to you.
Firstly,
How are
I'm well,
you?
thank you, and welcome to Dr. A Talks. My heartfelt gratitude for accepting my invitation. And I'm aware that you're in deep isolation. Being a Vipassana meditator for over 12 years, I realized the importance of solitude. So I want to begin with solitude. Why is solitude, why has it become so important in today's day and age?
It's a great question. You know, in the 5 a.m. Club, my book, I say that we live in the age of dramatic distraction, and it's never been so easy for us to be busy being busy. And so I think for anyone who's creative and anyone who wants peace of mind in this volatile world, it's incredibly important for us to find the time, whether it is at early in the morning at 5 a.m. to 6 a.m., or maybe it's even late at night, but some time where we can build some intimacy with our creativity and some time where we can refuel our batteries. If you look at all the great creative people, for example, a lot of the most successful business people. Look at a lot of the great humanitarians. I'm reading a book on Nelson Mandela and his prison letters. And they all found a lot of time to be alone and to be silent, because that's really where you can hear the muse versus the chatter of your ego.
So, given that I love the term cyber zombie, which you've termed in the 5 a.m. Club book. How does one keep away from that? You have given tips and techniques in the book, but I just want you to again enunciate and tell us, share your thoughts on that.
Well, Aditi, I think the starting point is just understanding the truth, which is you can change the world or you can play with your phone all day long. You can't do both. And so in the 5 a.m. Club, I talk about cyber zombies, and I talk about the fact that a lot of people are no longer people. We've become sheeple, and we're holding these digital devices that are addicting us to online shopping and online videos and online apps, and and there's a scientific term called attention residue. And every single time that we look at a notification, we've dropped a little bit of our valuable attention and also what's called our cognitive bandwidth on the phone. And if you do that all day long, you have no focus whatsoever, and you have no creativity whatsoever. You have no energy whatsoever. So unfortunately, there are a lot of people who are giving the best hours of their best days to their digital devices. And a lot of these platforms have been designed to addict us, to release dopamine, that inspirational neurotransmitter. So we become addicted to the digital device. But how can we do amazing work if we're distracted all day long? I mean, geniuses all have one thing in common. They spent long periods of time alone, focusing on their Taj Mahal, focusing on their Sistine Chapel ceiling. So I think it's really, I'm here right now in my writer's cottage. I'm working on my new book. Here's the manuscript I'm working on. And
Yes,
I'm
the sixth
spending many
version, I
hours
believe.
every day. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I've got just to show your many viewers and followers, I mean, my high-tech tools, and I'm spending hour after hour focused on this manuscript. And Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, I know you're a scientist, of sorts, and Mihai Csikszentmihalyi of University of Chicago coined a term called flow.
Yes.
And it's an incredibly important term. And flow basically is that state that every single one of us can get into, where we enter and inhabit the realm of our genius. But flow doesn't happen when we're playing with our phones. Flow doesn't happen at the office. Flow happens when you're alone in solitude. And that's part of the reason I wrote the 5 a.m. Club. I noticed many of the world's most successful people were getting up at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. They were getting up at 4 o'clock or they were getting up at 5 o'clock. And it's because it's a time of such quietude that you can enter the flow state and do your most amazing work. But also, I think in I don't know if it's Sanskrit or in Hindi, but there's a term where it speaks to, maybe you know it, but it's the hour between 4 and 6. And It's the time when your mind, your heart, and your spirit are most available to growth, because you've slept, your brain has been washed, your heart has been washed. And so it's a great time. The 5 a.m. club is amazing if you want to grow, if you want to work on your spirit, if you want to become stronger, if you want to meditate, if you want to pray, if you want to journal, because we are most open to suggestion at that time of the day.
Absolutely. Now, you also mentioned an altered consciousness and parallel universe is something that I'm really interested in. And you made reference to it not only in the 5 a.m. club, but in the Monk Who Sold His Ferrari as well. I know many people have experienced it. My question to you is, have you experienced it? And if so, what was your experience? Or how is it an ongoing process?
It's a brilliant question. I think the most honest answer is I don't know. I have experienced times in my life, including yesterday when I was writing the new book, where there was no distraction around me. I was in deep quietude, and the world fell away, and I became one with my writing. And that is the flow state. And so I've experienced times when I'm mountain biking, which I love to do. I've experienced times when I'm in nature or watching a sunset, where the ego, in this new book, I'm writing a lot about the difference between egoism and heroism. And in the 5 a.m. club, Mr. Riley, I don't know if you remember that chapter, but where Mr. Riley was on the vineyard in Franschhoek with his 2 students. And he started, and he gave them those 11 letters. And he talked about heaven on earth is not a place you go to, it's a state that you inhabit.
Yes.
And I think that's what you're zeroing in on. And yes, I've experienced that. And, it sounds voodoo and maybe a little metaphysical, probably not to your listeners because they're advanced, your viewers. But I've experienced that state where the screaming voice of your ego turns down and you start to hear the whispers of your heart, which is really your truth. And it's not about those whispers from your deepest self aren't about go buy a better handbag or a nicer watch or a better suit or a better car or go to the cooler restaurant. Those whispers are you living honorably? Are you helping more people? Are you being true to yourself? Are you doing work that is honest? Are you standing for love in a world that needs more love? And in the 5 a.m. club, I really tried to write those letters to remind people what's most important for a really amazing life. I've worked and mentored with a lot of billionaires over the past 24 years. And I've realized money is only one form of wealth. And as a matter of fact, a lot of very, very wealthy people don't have a lot of freedom. And I've also realized, Aditi, that a rich life doesn't cost very much.
Absolutely. Let's go to the 10 tactics of lifelong genius. You did speak about, because a lot of people equate fame and money with success. However, if you want to be a genius or a world-class person, there's a lot more that goes into it than just acquiring money and fame. So let's discuss those tactics which can lead you to that world-class achievement or actually maximizing your potential.
Yeah, well, I mean, on your point, philosophically, I think of what Jim Carrey said. And he said, I wish most people could be rich and famous, right? I wish most people could be rich and famous to realize there's very little joy in being rich and famous. And I think our society has seduced us and brainwashed us into chasing money, what I call FFA, fame, fortune, and applause, versus what I think real success is. And it's JPF, joy, peace, and freedom. And there's that model in the 5 a.m. club that explains joy as a GPS.
Yes.
Go to the places where your joy, right? Go to the places where your joy lives, because that is where your peace lies. So out of the, you're right, there's that model in the book on the 10 tactics of lifelong genius. And I'll go through a few of them at a very high level. The first one, and by the way, those 10 tactics come from my work with many of the most successful people and a lot of the methodologies that I taught to them. So one of them is the 20-20-20 formula, which a lot of the 5 a.m. Club method is based on. And very high level, anyone who wants to really live it can read the book, but very high level, you get up at 5 o'clock. It'll take 66 days to wire it into a habit, according to the research of University College of London. And for the first 20 minutes, from 5 to 5:20, you exercise. Because when you sweat, you release BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. That will actually accelerate your processing. It'll repair brain cells damaged by stress. It'll promote neurogenesis, which is the formation of new brain cells. If you exercise first thing in the morning, you'll release dopamine, which will make you feel on fire. You'll release serotonin, which will make you feel happy. You'll increase your metabolic rate, which will give you more energy. Now it's 5:20. You might have felt anxious, because look at the world we live in. You might have felt depressed. You might have felt sad. You might have felt confused. You might have felt frustrated. Now it's 5:20, and you've taken control of your mindset, what I call in the book your heart set, your health set, and your soul set. Your 5:20, you fundamentally feel different. The 4 interior empires, exactly. Mindset, and we can get into that, but everyone's talking about mindset. In the 5 a.m. Club, I talk about 3 others, which are absolutely necessary to world class. Heart set, health set, and soul set, along with mindset. Now it's 5:20. You've run the first pocket of the 20-20-20 formula move. Second pocket, that's all about reflect. Well, you know this. I mean, what's the point of spending our days climbing mountains only to realize at the end of our lives we climbed the wrong mountains? So for 20 minutes, from 5:20 to 5:40, while the rest of the world is sleeping, we are going to spend some time in reflection as members of the 5 a.m. Club. That could mean you write in a journal, which I do almost every day, to process through any confusion I might have, to record gratitude, to set intentions for my day or my life or my year, to record what I'm learning. During that 20-minute reflection pocket, you could also meditate. You know, I think you meditate, I meditate, very powerful. Auto-suggestion is incredibly powerful as well. Talking, using the words of the woman or man that you want to become. Our self-identity affects our income and our impact. And our self-identity in many ways has been created by the words we've used and the words we've heard since we've grown up. So if your self-identity isn't one of a warrior and a titan and a world changer and a successful person and a happy person, then I think we must, to honor our genius, use the words that will rescript that self-identity. And now it's 5:40. Already you're feeling times 10 better than you did when you first woke up. More energy, more focus, more creativity, more passion, more aliveness. It's 5:40. Everyone else is still sleeping, probably even in your home. What do? You get to the final pocket of the 20-20-20 formula. That's at the foundation of the 5 a.m. Club method. And that's all about grow. And when I mentor the billionaires, the NBA players, the great creative people as their mentor, I learned that they're all massively curious. And so for 20 minutes, you read a book. I've got this book that I'm reading here in this Aesop's Fables. And everywhere around me, there's books. So for 20 minutes, you listen to a podcast, you read a book, you listen to an audio book, you review your notes in your journal, but you give yourself 20 minutes to grow, because I say this in the 5 a.m. Club, small, daily, seemingly insignificant improvements, when done consistently over time, lead to stunning results.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. And I know we are running short of time, but I'm going to ask you one very interesting question, because I have always believed that simplicity is complexity resolved. It is a saying said by an American sculptor. So in your book, you have said that never overlook the power of simplicity. How have you simplified your life, given that you are so successful, you have to travel so much, meet so many people, do interviews such as this? How have you simplified your life?
It's a great question. And I would say I've simplified my life by getting very good at saying no respectfully. This interview I'm doing with you, I probably say no to 200 or 300 before I say one yes.
That's so sweet. Thank you so much.
Out of 1,000 social invitations, I might accept one. Out of hundreds of business opportunities, I say no to most of them. I mean, I believe if you want to get to inner peace and happiness, as well as business success, it's not about complexity. It is about simplicity. It's about, in business, it's about, or being an author, for example, or an artist, it's about doing one thing incredibly well. I mean, most businesses don't die because they don't have enough good opportunities. Most businesses die because they become bloated and ineffective because they've accepted too many good opportunities. I mean, Shah Jahan made the Taj Mahal over 22 years. He focused on one masterpiece, and now he has one of the wonders of the world. So in my life, it's not about adding more into my life. It's about saying no and stripping away the things of my life. Personally, as I've become more successful, and I don't see myself as a guru, or I'm fundamentally a very simple person. I grew up in a fishing town of about 2,000 people. And, you know, I live relatively simply. I don't go to a lot of restaurants. I don't buy a lot of things. I surround myself with just a handful of people. And of course, my family is extremely close to me. And I just live I realize to do my best work, you know, and this new book I'm writing, and for anyone who's joining and might want to see what it looks like, this is the new manuscript of the new book. And it's a struggle, by the way. You know, I don't want people to think I have it easy. This new book, you're right, I think this is my 6th version, and it's been a struggle. There's a lot of suffering in the world right now. And I think any of us who are sensitive and who are artists, we feel the suffering in the world. And so this book has been, you know, it's been hard at times and it's been easy at times. And I want to just suggest to all of your many viewers, you know, I struggle. I struggle when I write, and not every day is a day where I have all of the answers, and I don't, you know, I've had very hard times in my life, and I've had very good times in my life. And I just want to be very honest with your many followers from around the world, which is, that's a human life. You know, if you're in the game, if you're reaching for your ideals, if you want to serve the world, you're going to have great times and great seasons, and you're going to have your winters. As a matter of fact, I think the more of an impact you have, the more difficulties you're going to face, because life does get complicated. So I try to keep it as simple as possible. For me, it's about my family. It's about my personal development so I can become a better man. And it's about becoming a servant leader to as many people as possible. And I'm not really I don't need more likes. I don't need more things. I mean, those things don't really attract me. You know, I was in Calcutta a number of years ago, and I stood in Mother Teresa's bedroom at her mission. And Aditi, she only had a desk and a very simple bed in it. Mahatma Gandhi died with under 10 possessions.
Yes.
And I'm not comparing myself even to the universe those great souls inhabited. But here's what I've noticed. The more you mature as a human being, and the more you mature as a leader, and the more you mature as a spiritual person, the less you derive your power from outer things, and the more you derive your power from serving. And that's why a lot of these people had very few things. Nelson Mandela, I don't think, had a lot of things.
Yes, absolutely. I think one has to go beyond himself or herself to be able to see this, because we are bigger than that. We kind of limit ourselves, and that's social conditioning, your self-thinking, and so on and so forth. One last question is that I know you want to live very long. You want to live till 177. I think that's what I read somewhere. So how are you planning to do that? What is the secret of longevity? I know part of it is in your 5 a.m. club book, and looking at the 4 empires, that will definitely lead to an increase in the lifespan for sure. Are there any other aspects that you have that you would like to share with us?
Well, I think that's right. I think, the 4 interior empires in the 5 a.m. club, I think that's why that's such a powerful model. Because so many gurus are saying mindset is everything, but that's only psychology. And if you want to live healthily and young and long and be strong and creative and have fun and be happy, we must realize we're not just our mindsets. We're not just our psychology. We're that term I use in the book, heart sets. That's our emotionality. If you don't feel sadness as well as joy, you're not going to live a healthy life. Actually, Carl Jung talked about the shadow side, that all those repressed toxic emotions that we stuff within our self-conscious, our subconscious, that'll kill a person. Yeah. So mindset, heart set, health set, the 3rd interior empire, incredibly important. And soul set, the 4th interior empire in the book. You might say, well, I don't think you'd say it, but a lot of people would say, well, how could soul set, your spirituality, extend and hack aging? Well, I think absolutely, because your soul set is your connection with your higher, larger, more heroic self. And the more you get to know who you truly are, the less your ego is clinging and screaming and driving you, which is a great formula for inner peace. And scientifically, you know this, but as you become more peaceful, there'll be stronger immunity, less inflammation that leads to disease. Let me give you some specific tactics that I use that serve me very well in terms of health and longevity. From my readings, one of the best metrics of your true age is the length of your telomeres. And so really what you want to do is you want to lengthen your telomeres, because as we get older, our telomeres shrink and they fray like the ends of shoelaces. Yes. As we age. Meditation, I'm so excited to share this, and you probably know this, but meditation has been shown to extend telomere length. Get this, fasting. I'm a huge faster. Fasting extends telomere length. And I found fasting puts you in a state called autophagy, which it's almost like a reset for your system. I fast almost every day for 16 to 18 hours. I drink coffee in the morning. Coffee, as you know, is a great antioxidant. It's a great cognitive enhancer in moderation. I don't eat processed foods or very little processed foods. I sunbathe every day if there's sun for 20 minutes for vitamin D. And then I biohack. I get the Myers drip. I get vitamin B12. I'm big on supplementation. And I think the final thing is I've understood that diet can extend your life. Your diet can affect your moods. Your diet can affect your energy. or let's call it your nutrition. And food is medicine. So let's use it well.
Absolutely. I've been saying for many years now that you are pretty much what you think and you are what you eat. So I can speak for hours with you where biohacking is concerned, where longevity, and I would love to some other day. However, one last question, when do we get to read your new book? All of us are very curious and waiting eagerly to read it.
It's I'll show you the progress. I started writing it in February, Aditi, and I'm still at it, you know, and I'll show you this is, you know, just so your many followers realize this is real. And this was yesterday's output, you know, so it's a slow process. You can see all the markings on the pages. Just so everyone knows, it's not like I channel from the divine gods of monks and Ferraris, you know. And it's been a demanding book to write, but the manuscript is in good shape. And I don't know, I think I will have the manuscript done within, I mean, I really take my work very seriously, and I'm not going to put anything out that I don't think is the best I could possibly do. So I think it's probably going to take me, I would guess, another 4 or 5 months to get the manuscript in a good place. And then it goes through a whole publishing process where I have a copy editor and page designer, and it just goes on from there. So I'm not really sure when it's going to be released, but
no, we will wait for it, because I do know that
Pardon
you
me?
spent we will wait for it eagerly, because I do know that you spent 4
Thank you.
years writing 5 a.m. Club. And very interesting fact is that I had this book, the pages have become yellow. I read it long time back, but then when I connected with you, I said I need to read it again. So this is one of my precious collection of books that and this was in it. I have other books as well. But thank you so very much for accepting my invitation and sharing your journey with us. And we look forward to reading your new book again. Thank you.
Aditi, I want to thank you for your invitation, and I want to thank you for for being so gracious, and I want to thank you for such intelligent questions and being so well prepared. And I know you have worldwide followers and viewers, but I know a lot of your followers, I believe, are in India, and I want to thank my Indian readers for the love and the support over so many years, and especially for all the support around the 5 a.m. Club, making it such a successful book in India. So thank you so much.
So one last message to all the listeners, viewers who are with us. One last message before we say goodbye.
Oh, I'd say, you know, first of all, I'd say the world needs more heroes as never before. And why wait for them to show up when, through, you know, getting up early and working on ourselves, making ourselves stronger, reading the right books, finding the right friends, eating the right food, installing the right habits, even 90 days from now, we can be thinking, feeling, behaving at fundamentally higher levels. So I'd say, you know, believe in yourself, as simple as that sounds. You know, you look at the great women and men of the world, these were ordinary people who built themselves up through meditation, through fasting, through reading, through silence, through taking tragedy and remaking it into triumph. They then became great. And there's not one person who's watching us right now who, you know, victims blame. Victims say it's because of the world. Victims say it's because of the economy. Victims say it's because of COVID. Victims say it's because of my childhood. Heroes are different. Even if it's a hero who runs a rickshaw. But it's fundamentally different. It's my work is important. My life is important. My habits are important. And they don't give away their power by blaming and complaining. And so I think, you know, my message would be every single one of the people listening and watching right now has some unique form of greatness or genius within them. And by joining the 5 a.m. club and by learning to meditate, and by learning those rituals I talk about in the book, they can rebuild themselves into who they're meant to be. And that's not only a huge payoff for the person doing the work, it'll make a better world. Mother Teresa said if we only swept our own doorstep, the whole world would be clean.
Absolutely. So accountability and become the hero that you have the capability of. That's a message from Mr. Robin Sharma. Thank you very much once again, and looking forward to your new book again.
Thank you, Aditi. It's been a real pleasure. Bye-bye. Stay safe
Bye.
and healthy.